Amazing. TJ in for Rico.
Woo!
So Lions, Michigan, both in the mix. Let's spend a few minutes on Michigan here because, look, I said yesterday, TJ, it's easy for me to be overconfident. I don't like Michigan. I can just look at the game. Dude, I've watched more TCU football than anyone who doesn't own Horned Frog season tickets. I don't see how they win. Now, competing, I think they'll compete. I will be surprised if it's like 38-13 Michigan. I would.
Yeah, me too.
But here's the problem. All of these semifinal games, seemingly every year, are disgusting blowouts. Just absolute bloodbaths. We never get good semifinal games. So there is a part where you go, well, geez, maybe it is that obvious. But if you want to build this pathway, here's what I want to know from Michigan fans, because TJ has a take, and we talked about it briefly yesterday. If we're assuming Michigan wins, who do you want to face? Let's say it's 7 o'clock. You've just capped off a virtuoso performance. You wag the dog. You beat TCU. Call it 34-16, a convincing win. And now you're settling in a few drinks deep to watch Ohio State and Georgia. And short of the stadium collapsing, taking both teams out, and you being crowned national champion, I want to know who you're actually wanting to see win that game. Who do you want to play? There's that. And then there's you asked me what would be the one way that TCU could get it done. And I can only give you one thing. If Michigan's red zone struggles still persist. If they go into this game and Jake Moody kicks 4 or 5 field goals, that's how you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. If they start slow again and TCU comes out hot, you could be down 2-3 scores first half. You know what I mean?
Here's what people don't realize. They assume TCU's Big 12, and they assume they're going to throw it 60 times.
Yeah.
It couldn't be further from the truth.
No, they don't.
Start with this. They got over 2,000 yards rushing this year. Between Miller, DeMercado, and even after sack yardage, Duggan's got like 700. Okay? They want to run it. Well, I don't know how the running game's going to work against you, so I need to see that to believe it. The other thing they do that I think Michigan's outstanding at covering, they throw about 36% of their passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. Screen game just doesn't work against U of M. They maintain responsibility. I think their corners do a great job getting off blocks. It's Michigan in the red zone. I'm not going to sell you. I love when radio hosts do this. Well, I'll tell you, whoever wins the turnover battle. Well, you know what? Michigan doesn't turn it over. So can we not have that conversation?
Yeah.
I'm not going to set up a scenario I haven't seen all year. Well, if JJ gets loose with the ball. Well, first of all, they're not going to let him get loose with the ball. And second of all, he's done a nice job. So,
yeah, or you can't go down the road. Oh, if Donovan Edwards gets hurt. Right. This guy gets. Yeah, okay, yeah. Don't know.
A unicorn that shoots sprinkles comes down from the jumbotron. But you asked me my concern. It is their red zone offense. It stinks. But I want to know who you want to play if they beat TCU.
Man, I think that I don't want any part of Georgia. I just don't. I mean, the players that they have, Stetson Bennett, I know, look, he's probably not going to be an NFL star, but the guy is just a tremendous college quarterback. Bauer, I mean, just a freak tight. And their other tight end, too, is
Washington.
6'8", just massive.
What
their
lab
defense,
was he built in?
The toughness. I mean, that Georgia team, if you're playing Michigan, I think it is strength on strength, and I think Georgia would have the advantage as far as defensive line, stopping the run, everything you're saying, locking them down in the red zone, not letting up big plays. I just don't know if I trust JJ enough yet and this receiving core yet to get into one of those shootout-type games where Georgia's not going to let you run the ball. You know what I mean? Are you going to be able to pass the ball 40 times and beat them? I don't think so. So that's why I look at Georgia and I say, not a good matchup. We've already seen the Michigan-Ohio State matchup. We've seen – was it a close game? It was probably closer than the final score. Michigan ripped off a couple big plays there at the end, but I just like the way physically that Michigan matches up with Ohio State, specifically front seven defensively and offensive line, on the offense. I think that they just I think they manhandled Ohio State last time they played. I just think that Ohio State, they don't have the traditional players that they always had in the past that can wreck the game.
Up front. They don't have any D linemen I care about.
Pass rushers, right? I mean, they've got the Zach Harrison kid, I think, is good.
He's never developed.
The other kid, the 44, the Samoan kid, I think is good.
Yeah,
but I just think that we've already seen Michigan match up well with them.
But you don't put anything to it that you don't. Look, I've lived it. You don't want to play a team twice.
Yeah.
Whether it was Michigan State, Wisconsin. How about TCU? Had to play K-State again. That didn't go so well.
Yeah.
How about USC getting rolled by Utah the second time? I mean, it's look at last year. Bama did not want to play Georgia again.
Yeah, they
What
rolled them.
happened?
Yeah.
So, like, I just caution people. Like, it would be Ohio. We were talking right before the show, and I'm not making it that weather had this overriding impact. But if you don't think there's a difference playing in Columbus in late November in the cold versus the fast track indoors where OSU's designed to play, and by the way, I don't want to give Jim Knowles another crack at me. That's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I'd rather play Georgia because you're right. They're very good. They're not last year's team. They're not.
I think it would be fascinating to see Michigan-Georgia, which I think will happen.
That's what I want.
Just to see how far Michigan has come since last year. I know, look, Georgia lost a ton of players, especially on that defense from last year's team. I think it would be fascinating to see how they match up with them. I don't feel comfortable doing that in the national championship game. You want to do it week one? Yeah, let's see how we match up. But
yeah,
I just feel, I mean, let's just say hypothetically, what do you think, Michigan, Ohio State, the spread would be? It would probably be pretty close to 1 either way.
It'd be a pick'em. Yeah.
Right. Now, Georgia, Michigan, you're probably looking
4.5 is what I've seen.
Georgia, 4.5,
Yeah.
5. Yeah, so that just kind of tells you that, I just think that I think Michigan matches up better with Ohio State. I think they've gotten in their head the last couple years. I think that they have definitely knocked them down off of that high peg that they were on after, not losing a Big Ten game for 5 years, whatever it was. And Michigan not only beat them, they embarrassed them 2 years in a row.
All right,
I think that would go a long way.
I'll give you 2 ways to talk U of M, guys. I mean, look, TJ and I both think it'll be a game, but we're also pretty convinced Michigan's going to win. But do you just think it's going to be a straight blowout? I mean, Kenny told me yesterday, on the ticket text, it was Dicka versus God, Dicka, 56-3. And I would be a little surprised at that. Max Duggan is
Good
he's
quarterback.
like Ginger Tebow.
Dual threat, too. I don't think Michigan
He's
has
just a red ass.
Has Michigan played a true, running quarterback yet? I know Duggan's not that type, but, even against K-State that game, he ran for over 100 yards.
Listen, you know what? I'll actually say he is. Think about, I was doing some research, and this was a couple days ago for doing the podcast. So if you take, even with sack yardage, so Duggan sack yardage was 180 yards negative.
Yep.
He still ran for 600 yards. So that's actually 790 yards rushing. That is a mobile cube. No, he's not RG3.
Yeah, you're not running read option and triple option and all that, but he can hurt you with his feet. I don't think Michigan has really played against a guy like that.
No.
Yet, right?
No, and
that's a different challenge.
It does. And the way I look at running quarterbacks, if they extend 3 drives, if it's a 3rd and 7 and everything's covered up, pass rush is getting there, he escapes, gets a first down. That could be a backbreaker.
Yeah.
If he just does that 3 times, that's the value. It's not about breaking off 60-yard TDs.
I want to see how they cover that Quentin
All right,
Johnston.
here's my
6'5",
here's
220.
You know what he is? He's DeAndre Hopkins.
He's massive. Yeah.
And he was hurt towards the end of the year. So I know Michigan fans, if you're looking at his numbers and you go, well, why does Mike think he's so special? Well, first of all, he was hurt. Now he's got a month to recoup. The first guy never brings him down. He's great at contested grabs. They can just go back, shoulder fade. I think he's a top 15 pick in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Well, and you look at Michigan's pass defense. Even the Purdue game,
Charlie Sizzle.
Oh, my gosh. What do you have? It seemed like 20 catches. I know it didn't kill him, but even going back to Michigan State, I know they fixed it a little bit in the second half.
They fixed it at halftime.
They couldn't cover. They couldn't cover Keon Coleman.
Oh, look,
Ohio State. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't kill you, but he still made a couple really big plays.
Well, look, here's the thing.
That's the only thing that's going to be concerning to me is
if I had to build it out. If I have to build this out, I guess I would say, would it? If TCU can't run it, they're dead. You can't drop back 50 times against Michigan, so that's one. But their wide receiving core, TCU's got 4 legit wideouts and a tight end. And whether it's Davis, whether it's Wiley, whether it's Quentin Johnson, they are very good. But I just feel like they're going to have a hard time driving the ball on Michigan. And if you can't drive it and you allow Michigan to control the TOP and you allow guys like you to lean on you for 50, 60, 70 snaps, you're not beating that team.
Yeah. And that's why I think Michigan's going to win. Now, I don't know if they're going to cover that. Like you said, there could be a backdoor. I think 8 points is a lot, especially in a playoff game. But I just think Michigan has better physical dominating traits, offensive line, defensive line, that, like you said, you get in the fourth quarter, close game, they're going to go on a 15-play, 7-minute drive and just bury you.
Yep. And that's
their style of game, and I don't know if TCU can slow them down.
All right, so we'll get your calls. We'll rap about U of M a little bit. Lions fans, we've brought you in the mix. We'll continue to do it. Picks coming up later in the hour. Who said it? Lots of stuff still to do. 248-539-9797.